Welcome to Whispers in the Dark. I'm here to help you unwind and relax this evening. Before we begin, I'd love for you to take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Only if you truly enjoy the experience I create here. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always wonderful to see how this channel brings together a global community. Just so you know, there will only be a few ads within the first 15 minutes. And after that, the rest of the video will be completely ad-free. I hope you'll give this story a chance. I believe you won't find tales quite like these anywhere else. Now, dim the lights, put on your headphones, perhaps turn on a fan for a gentle background hum, and let's begin our evening together. The first story. They say the forest was just another stretch of trees. But if you listen closely, you'd hear screams that didn't belong to the living. People swore they saw shadows moving when no one was there. Hikers vanished without a trace. Locals whispered about it, but never out loud, because deep down, they knew something was wrong. And one night, that secret would finally come crawling out of the dark. The forest sat far from town, untouched by modern life. To outsiders, it looked peaceful, but the villagers nearby never stepped foot inside after sundown. Why? Because too many people went in and never came back. They said the trees shifted. The silence grew too heavy. The deeper you walked, the more it felt like the forest itself was watching. But it wasn't just the disappearances. There were sounds, low whispers carried by the wind, rustling when no one was there, shapes in the corner of your eye. And while rumors came and went, one story would spread further than all the rest. It began with a traveler. He wasn't local, just someone passing through. People saw him enter the forest at dusk, but nobody saw him leave. When a search began, the only things they found were scraps of his belongings. A torn piece of fabric, a boot print that ended suddenly. No signs of struggle, no body, just gone. That's when the whispers turned into something darker. Some claimed he met an animal no one had ever seen. Others swore it was something not human at all. And that's when the strange events began. Villagers living closest to the forest started to hear things at night. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't animals. It sounded like voices, murmuring, calling, sometimes in languages no one could understand. Others reported seeing shadows slipping between trees, tall, thin shapes that didn't move like people. The fear grew so strong that even hunters refused to enter. Some swore if you stood at the tree line too long, something would whisper your name. But whispers weren't the only sound that haunted the nights. Soon after, people began to hear screams. Not short cries, not echoes, long, drawn-out screams that carried from the forest's core. The kind that freezes you in place. The kind that doesn't sound fully human. Some believed it was the lost traveler. Others said it was a trick, something inside luring more people in. No one dared investigate. Until one night, a small group decided to find out for themselves. They were young and curious, tired of living in fear. Armed with flashlights, they entered the forest after sunset. At first, it was silent. Too silent. No crickets, no owls, just the crunch of their own footsteps. The deeper they went, the heavier the air became. They said the trees seemed to close in. Even the path behind them looked different when they turned back. Then, one of them swore they saw something move. A tall shadow, watching, and that was only the beginning. Hours into their search, they stumbled onto something strange. Carved into the bark of several trees were symbols, circles, spirals, marks no one recognized. At the forest floor, ashes of long-dead fires. Broken belongings, too damaged to tell who they belonged to. It looked like rituals had taken place there. Not once, not twice, but many times. And just as the group began to question what they had found, the screaming started again. Only this time, it was closer, much closer. Panic spread through the group. They tried to run, but the forest wouldn't let them. The trees looked unfamiliar. Paths twisted into themselves, and one by one, the group began to vanish. No sound, no sign of a struggle, just gone. Only a few made it back, stumbling into the village pale and shaking. None of them ever spoke of what happened inside, but the look in their eyes told the story for them. And the missing? They were never found. Years passed, but the forest didn't stay quiet. People still reported strange lights between the trees. Whispers carried on the wind. Screams in the dead of night. Government records quietly note dozens of disappearances. Families still hang missing posters long after hope has died. The locals believe the forest takes its victims in cycles. Every few years, new voices join the whispers. And some claim the forest itself isn't just alive, it's hungry. Today, the forest remains untouched. Paths are blocked off, warnings posted, but curiosity never dies. Strangers still wander in. Most come back, some don't. So the question remains, if you heard the whispers, would you keep walking? Or would you run before the forest decided you belonged to it? The second story. Imagine this. You're standing in your brand new apartment, boxes still stacked, keys still warm in your pocket. Everything feels fresh, full of promise. But then, on that very first night, you hear it. A sound that doesn't belong. A whisper. And before you realize it, you're not moving into a new home. You're moving into someone else's nightmare. This is the story of Jessica, and what she discovered inside those walls was never supposed to be found. At first, everything seemed fine. Jessica was excited. She'd worked hard to finally get her own place. The apartment wasn't huge, but it was hers. A blank canvas for a new start. But on her very first night, little details started to feel off. The water pipes groaned like they were alive. The walls seemed too thin, almost as if they could breathe. And late into the night, when the world outside went quiet, she swore she heard something else, like faint footsteps dragging across the ceiling. She tried to laugh it off. Old buildings always make noise, right? But the problem was, this building wasn't that old. And soon, she would learn, those weren't the sounds of a house settling. It started small. Jessica would wake up and notice things weren't where she left them. A mug on the counter shifted a few inches. A photo frame tilted slightly. The kind of things you could blame on clumsiness. But then came the whisper. One night, while she was brushing her teeth, she heard it. A faint voice, muffled, like it was buried inside the walls. She froze. At first she thought it was her imagination, but then the voice grew clearer, and it was saying her name. She dropped the toothbrush, her pulse racing. She searched every room, checked her phone, even opened the front door. Nothing, just silence. But the silence felt worse than the sound. And deep down, Jessica knew the voice wasn't random. It was calling to her. After that night, things spiraled. The noises grew louder. The shadows grew darker. Sometimes she'd see a figure move past the corner of her eye. Tall, thin, vanishing the second she turned. She stopped sleeping properly. She started writing down every strange thing she noticed. The times, the sounds, the feelings. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was obsession. Her friends told her she was overreacting. But Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that her apartment wasn't just haunted. It was alive. And then, one afternoon, while moving boxes in her closet, she stumbled on something no new tenant should ever find. Behind a loose panel in the wall, Jessica found a bundle of old papers. Yellowed with age, edges brittle. At first it looked like junk, unpaid bills, random scraps. But tucked inside was a diary. She sat on her bed, flipping through the pages. Most of it was rambling, incoherent thoughts. But then her eyes locked on a single phrase, written over and over again in jagged handwriting. It watches me. It won't let me leave. Her stomach turned. The entries dated back more than a decade. The writer had lived in this exact apartment. And the last page ended with just one chilling sentence. If you're reading this, it's already found you. Jessica slammed the book shut. Her hands were shaking. And from that night on, the noises in the apartment weren't just whispers. They were screams. The haunting escalated quickly. Lights flickered even after she replaced the bulbs. Faucets turned on by themselves. Doors slammed in the middle of the night. But the worst was the feeling. That constant, heavy pressure, like someone was standing inches behind her, breathing down her neck. Jessica asked her neighbors about the previous tenant. Most avoided her questions. But one old woman finally muttered something under her breath before quickly walking away. That place should have stayed empty. Jessica barely slept anymore. She started locking her bedroom door at night, though she knew a lock couldn't stop whatever this was. And then came the night when everything broke. Jessica woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of her closet door creaking open. Slowly, painfully, her body froze. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. And then, a shadow slid out, stretching across the floor. The air grew freezing. The lights buzzed and blew out. And she felt a hand, ice cold, inhuman, grip her ankle. She screamed, thrashing, scrambling for the light switch. But when she turned it on, nothing was there. Only the closet door, wide open. Her heart was racing. She couldn't take it anymore. Something had to be done. But she didn't realize the true horror wasn't the ghost at all. Jessica dug deeper into the diary, desperate for answers. She searched public records, old news clippings, anything about her building. And that's when she found it. Years ago, a man had lived in that very apartment. Neighbors claimed he became reclusive, paranoid, convinced something was hunting him. He left strange writings, carvings on the walls, and eventually vanished. But the whispers of the story were worse. Some believed he never left, that he had hidden himself away in the walls and died there. Jessica realized the truth. What haunted her wasn't just a ghost. It was the echo of a man who had lost his mind in that same apartment. And now, it wanted her to join him. Jessica packed her things in a frenzy, desperate to escape. But the closer she got to the door, the louder the voices became. "Don't leave, stay with me." Her vision blurred. The room tilted. And then, silence. No one knows exactly what happened after that night. Some say she managed to get out and never looked back. Others claim the apartment is still occupied, but no one ever sees the tenant. And sometimes, late at night, people passing by swear they hear a woman's voice calling from inside. A new apartment, a new beginning, and a discovery that turned into a nightmare. Jessica thought she was moving into a place of her own, but instead, she moved into a trap that was waiting for her all along. So the next time you set foot in a new home, ask yourself one question. Are you really alone? And if you heard those whispers, would you dare to stay? And that's the end of tonight's tales. Thank you for keeping me company. It makes the darkness a little less lonely. I hope you found that perfect mix of fear and fascination. I'll be back tomorrow with more stories and mysteries. Until then, sleep well, and remember, they're only stories. Sweet dreams, my friend.